good sugar, all those good things that keep you going for another hour and a half. Yeah. So we're going to take this a step further. This morning we've been exploring different ways that we see artistic standards, and we already heard in the groups that went walking that we all had shared different perspectives on what this might mean and what words it suggested to you. I don't think there were any repetitions. It's really remarkable. So in this session, we're going to look at the question of assessment, which has already come up in some of your discussions. And I would just say that what we see from this first morning is that we're all experts. We all have experience. We all have information to share about this question. And we've identified a number of issues. And now we're going to look at how we can make this more concrete, looking at the question of assessment. So before we dive in with our smaller breakout groups, I'm going to ask Ana and Jesus to provide some context. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, we've been already talking about artistic standards. We all have an opinion about it. But mainly we've talked about performing standards. So, most of you, I am a performer, and I know what artistic standards mean to me. I know what to achieve when I want to perform a piece of music. I know what people expect from me to perform this piece. But I'm also a teacher, and we haven't talked much about teaching standards or artistic teaching standards. So as a teacher, also, I could be challenged by being excellence, or to have excellence in teaching. So these two parts of the same coin, looking for artistic excellence or artistic standards, could be transmitted through teaching through students. So to empower students to make the teaching more excellent. So now we are going to watch a video which explains this topic better, much better than me. And we'll see how a really good performer changes their job for teaching, and how she explains how the students co-create the artistic stuff. So I hope you like it and it inspires you on this topic.
Oh. I performed my last concert after a great career. I've travelled the world, worked with wonderful people, won prizes, lots of successes. Never. The stage was my home. When I quit playing, deciding to work in education, I found myself learning poems by heart. One every 2 weeks, to be memorized with the objective to be able to recite it fluently. My poor children had to endure this madness of a poem reciting wine at breakfast. Busy unruly sun, what was that? Through windows, cold, must to the seasons run, so wretch. It took a while before I realized what was going on. I missed learning. Of course, I miss playing music.
physical activity. I missed my precious and incredibly expensive old Italian viola. I missed the solitude of practicing. I missed the fun in the dressing room. I missed the excitement on stage. I even missed being nervous. I missed learning. During my career, this is composed for me, which is quite something, because one has to conquer notes that are unheard, find out how to make them come to life, develop new techniques for crazy demands, make sure to learn a whole by heart in just a couple of weeks. And don't underestimate the challenge of playing or recording a well-known masterpiece. Musicians practice. That is what they do. It is their tough daily reality, even just to keep up a level. And a burden that may be, it's also a blessing. Musicians practice and study and learn, and they are motivated to choose a life of uncertainty and relative poverty because of their love for music. So, at Conservatoires, we have the most motivated students. Then how come they miss classes, are underprepared, or act hard to get? Why are they so passive? There is a claim to blame the teachers in our sector. You know, these famous men, gods of the violin, who make their students tremble, and with whom nobody dares disagree, or speak up to, or even speak to. While it is true that in the world of classical music, hierarchy is all around. Our profession is demanding and personal. And hey, students have full and fixed study programs, no concentrations, nor a say in assessment situations. How could they not be passive? We put them in a system of uniformity and control. How could that not kill their motivation? And what are we afraid of? As soon as we trust our students in the religion, when we let them control, dare to be with them, when we are generous enough to hope they will become better than us, and they step forward as incredibly motivated, active learners. Let's trust students and celebrate learning, thus taking the next step to student-led education. A couple of years ago, I started inviting students to sit in when the teachers discussed and graded their performances. There were teachers and reactions. But that way I cannot say it sucked. I replied, well, you might need to come up with better text. Quite quickly, we work towards exam settings in which students have a place, a say towards themselves and in discussion with the teachers. Their sincerity about what they strive for and struggle with. They're very clear, helpful comments, supportive and sharp. Assessment at its best. Nothing to be afraid of. And it changed the way students perceived these frightening editions as well. They started to own the stage. As a parent, one knows that the only way to really see your child, to extend trust, work and live together, to truly be with them. That's what education can be like as well. Fierce and joyful.
Thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne Barnard's graduating at Young. She's currently working at the Young Conservatoires. So now we're going to have an opportunity to go further with this question of assessment, and we are going to do so in 4 breakout groups. And each breakout group will discuss a number of questions. How do artistic standards come into play? What invisible or non-artistic standards also play a role in assessment? What kind of feedback is given? What power is visible and invisible? What relations do we observe among players, teachers, committee members? And who has the final say? So for this, we are going to go to the 4 corners of the room, and all of those who are in pop and jazz, so Mannheim and St. Louis, you will be in this corner with Lasse and Carolina. And then we are going to divide the rest of you into 3 groups. Ankna and I will be over here. Esther and Constance will be here. And Anna and Jesus will be in the far corner. So try to not stay with your own school if you can, and go into different corners. And we're looking to have about 10 people in each group. Is that okay? Yeah. And we are going to work. We're going to work together for about a half hour. Okay.
Now we're 8.
Oh, we have one more. Thank you all for coming. Okay, so I remind you the main questions we have to discuss here, you have to discuss here, and make sure you all give your the opinion, right? So the first question would be, how do artistic standards come into play? It could be in exams, auditions, whatever situation, as a student, as a teacher, as a performer, as a jury, anything. And what invisible or non-artistic standards also play a role in assessment. Is that clear? You all understand that? No, the whole thing. Yeah, it should be the whole thing. Who decides the standards, who disagrees, and who goes out on the job to decide who passes the exam, and who makes the rules, who decides the standards. You know, that's quite tricky. Anyway, so the first question is, I repeat, how do artistic standards come into play? So who wants to start now? Well, I mean, I want to know what your name is. You don't know. From Grass. What do you teach? Trumpet. Like all music, right? They're all rights.
Ranking. First of all, perfection, some just playing things, technical things, intonation, everything, and articulation. So these are the rules. This is not, we cannot discuss about this.
So there are no, I mean, there are rules, but no written rules. We don't know. There is no paper saying this.
In the West. And then there's another thing which is I like the small and this, but first of all, it's big. We thing they have to learn. It's not discussable. You know, I hit the notes or you don't. And yeah, but this is the first step, and then the taste comes. In my life.
Do you all agree with this statement?
One question. What is the perfection in the way while the play?
Yeah, well, I just talked about the temperature aspect. If I hit the note or if I don't.
Are we so complete when we were playing?
I'm talking about
So, perfection is for me in our world, for people, no perfection. You have the clothing line, cheap. So, we try to do our best to develop the skills of the students.
You found a teacher who asks you this level of standards, but he or she cannot reach this level. Have you found sometimes, yeah.
It's very rare.
Okay, so I'm asking you, who decides what the standard is and with which criteria?
I think it's a criteria that was built up by centuries. Because if we think about the repertoire that we, for example, in Stakeholder, everybody has to wait for auditions for concerts or whatever. But the level of perfection that we ask of that today is not to the level of performance back then. So it's something that's built up during 19th century and 20th. So we are now basing our standards on a long tradition of thousands of musicians before us that were better and better and perfected and perfected.
Competition comes into place.
Can I ask who would like to report back from the pop and jazz group? Who would like to share, within about 5 minutes, what was said? You have the mic?
That can.
You have to press it.
From the bottom.
When it turns on.
Hello.
Press it longer.
Hello. Thank you, Lasse. You were my third and the best hand. So that can be me, but if you would like to share, I can give the mic to my group.
I just suggest that you maybe give a couple of lines, and then people who want to add something, please feel free to step in.
Okay, so basically, in many institutions, it depends on where you are, then artistic standards change and perspective change. So, for example, in some institutions, there are pre-requirements you have to fulfill that your application will be revised, and even that is very interesting. That even if you didn't study music before, you have still chance to get in. Because there are different requirements, so like the essay, you don't have to study music theory. In some institutions, you have to how did you call it? The pre-academy, yes, pre-academy. So that institutions try to level, the level of the studies of the students. And then we also talked about that it is really nice if materials are written by the students, if they do not have settled repertoire, they need to perform, which is sometimes very difficult for some people because in some institutions you have to, for example, perform or sing some repertoire that is set, and it is really hard for people who do not have the certain type of voice to fit in. So we also talked about in some institutions, if you lose a music theory essay, then you cannot play, but then you can repeat the exam next year. And we also talked, just give me a second. If you do not feel comfortable with the teacher, you can change the teacher, which which is nice. We talked about feed forward, then the feedback. More, it's a nice word. I heard like a feed forward and the feedback. Forward. Yeah. And the feedback is not obligatory, and in general, sometimes the student can ask for a feedback, and sometimes it causes some problems for the administrative staff if the student asks for feedback from many classes. If I got you right. There is a great need of communication. Who decides what standard is, and then to know who delivers the message. What are the standards? Because sometimes students do not know the standards. They even don't know what repertoire sometimes they need to play on the entrance examination. Sometimes the standards are just clear for teachers, but they are not clear for students. And it would be great if we have an anonymous way of communication, that the students can also give the feedback to the teachers. That is present in some institutions, but in some not. And in some institutions they have discussions about the assessment and the feedback. And what is visible, teachers who give grades. Invisible, yeah, that the student sometimes does not know the criteria. And the great thing is live performance. Like the examinations are open to public, so the public also can participate in the assessment. And the final word is to the boss, and I'm not really sure who the boss is, but this is what my group said.
Is there anybody in Carolina and Lass's group that would like to add something?
Or correctly, would you like to add something? No? Okay.
Great, we're going to keep going clockwise here, Esther and Constance. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, my group.
Okay.
I saw some.
Is there somebody who would like to add to what Carolina just said?
I think it was
Perfect. Okay. She got the best grade. She got A+. Okay. Okay, so Jesus, are you speaking for?
No, Anna is speaking for my group, but I want to tell my group it was really wonderful talking.
Yeah, it was really a lot of notes. So I will try to summarize somehow, but if anyone from the group wants to add something, please do it. So we were talking about standards, trying to replicate the standards from audition requirements, like standardized examinations in music academies. And also that the criteria is built by centuries, like for a good performance. However, in examinations, the standards are not very clear, and I think that what I was hearing in the group is that the bigger problem is that the standards are not clearly communicated. But students don't want to be, sheltered. They want to get a clear feedback, even if it's bad, because that's a place to grow during years. What I heard is a lot of differences between the different academies in different contexts and countries. And for example, the context that really went out as a positive example is Ireland. If colleagues from Ireland want to explain it better, that I please do so. What I heard is that before every performance exam, a student gets a clear set of instructions. It's not the.
It's provided to the teacher or the examiner.
Okay, so it's thank you. And there is an external evaluator in every exam who writes a report with feedback for a student after every exam. So it's quite different than in other countries. It also it's a very challenging role. On the other hand, in Zagreb, let's say, there is a situation with instruments such as harp, let's say, where in a jury or commission on examination you have teachers who are not playing harp, they play another instrument, so sometimes they are giving some comments that are not related to the specificities of the instrument. And also what we talked about is that in orchestra auditions and examinations, it would be helpful to have like a checklist with the standards. It would be helpful for all people who actually decide. That's it.
Great.
Summarizer.
Yeah? Pavel?
Bye.
Can you stand up? It's nice to see you. I mean, because everybody's looking at your back. You just yeah, it's better.
So basically, our conclusion was that it would be best just to kill the system and stop teaching music at the higher music institutions because they are not the best idea. But we discussed the first point that we did was that judging music is subjective, and this is really important to remember. But making academic standards, you need to provide some artistic standards to be able to judge, even though it's still subjective. And we discussed the grading system, is it good or bad, and we unfortunately found out that it's connected to so many things that it's not only about the performance at that moment, but it's connected to many other things that unfortunately trying to have the academic of music or University of Music, you need to provide some grading system to be able to be equal with different institutions that are institutions of higher education as well. We discussed the issue of communication. There was a really nice point from Ireland that after the exam, during the exam, besides just performing, you can as well provide an oral explanation of what you did and how you did and why you did and what was your idea. That is a wonderful idea, but then we found out that in any other institutions it would be impossible because of the time limits and the number of students that we have, and trying to listen to everyone explaining what they are doing, that wouldn't be possible. Then we discussed that it's so stupid that the exam is just performing at the right moment and trying to be the best person and the best musician at the right moment and feeling somehow connected to the moment, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So we decided that both being the performer and being the person who judges, we got to remember that we are all human. But unfortunately then we came to the conclusion that when you play a concert, you are at the moment as well, and no one will take under the consideration that you are human. They want to hear your best playing. And then we discussed that unfortunately what's killing the system as well is the music industry itself, so we eat ourselves. And we started recording music, but then we started editing music, so we came to this moment that we have a perfect product that is recorded, and this made the artistic standards grow really high because we expect people to play as they recorded, even though that's almost impossible because it's like the recording is so edited. So this is a huge game changer in the music industry, and as well the globalization, that you can actually listen and travel with music and listen to other musicians from all around the world. That it used to be much more local thing, and you were judging among your people around, and right now we judge each other from all over the world, and as well we are able to actually know how someone plays, not only hear about him. So we're discussing the Paganini issue, that did he really play so well, or we just knew that he plays well because someone told someone that he played well, and so on and so on. Is it all?
Yes. Wow. Great. So thank you all. We had a great group, and Alexandra is going to share some impressions, and if members of the group would like to join, just mention one or two things that she forgot. I think she's got already a lot of things to share.
So people talk really a lot. I don't know if I'm capable, telling so much facts. But we had really nice discussion. So the points we had was the first point was about theme. We have artistic standards and they put us under the pressure. It's part of the profession and we need to deal with it somehow. It's not impossible maybe to live without it, but we need to deal with it. Then it differs from country to country and from institution to institution. And it's a lot also we're talking about communication and that we need to make it better between the teachers, between the students and between the teachers and students. About feedbacks, about really learning people or not making people, but people need to learn to make it objective, honest, but respectful. Not to stress people, not to depress people, but make opening a field to grow. Through these feedbacks. Then in some institutions there is a kind of invisible hierarchy, and in some countries it depends on gender, still it depends on age, but not always. It's about age, and we discussed the problem of generation, and sometimes it depends on generation, but sometimes younger generation picks from older generation not very good things, and it continues to be so. What else should I mention?
I just say a few words that were shared about invisible aspects.
There are also in all countries there are invisible communication and invisible standards. Like for example, if some group of students are from the class of a very well-known professor or a chief professor or something like this, they have better grades, not even when they perform not that good, it's thought that their grades are still should be better, and other students, they don't have this kind of privilege, and it's not fair. And also, invisible thing, that sometimes some teacher's opinion is thought to be not that important because of age or because of gender, and it also should be changed.
We also suggested that passion was an invisible aspect of artistic standards, that we can see when somebody's passionate, that this is something that enhances.
And having joy, not to forget that when we make music, it's also about joy, not only about being suppressed and being always under the pressure and trying to be as perfect as you can. And trying to compete, the high quality recordings and edited performances.
And we had an example from Malmö of an assessment system where you would give a star and a wish. So maybe 2 stars and a wish. So you can find a balance between providing positive feedback and also maybe more critical feedback. That was something that we would like to. Is there anybody else in the group who would like to add something? There were so many wonderful things that were said.
There were lots of T-shirt ideas.
Oh yeah,
great T-shirt ideas. And one of the things was.
Wait.
Okay.
Just in case somebody doesn't hear.
Now wasn't off now and took the notes. She knows everything. I don't
know everything. But one of the things was about giving your opinions. Is it asked for? If it's not asked for, don't share your opinions. Keep it to yourself. This came emerged from the communication and the interhuman relations. That was one of the points that was made.
Can you share the T-shirt idea?
The opinions one was my favorite, and then the 1 star, 1 wish was my favorite, yeah. But great, I think Pride should definitely start a t-shirt collection. Pretty amazing things were said.
Anything else for that group? Yeah, there were some wonderful, wonderful moments. Well, this is really, you can see how enormous the subject is, and I'm sure that you said much more than what has been shared here. But it also just shows you how, from student point of view, from teacher's point of view, from staff point of view, we observe different things, and sharing them makes us see that we have a responsibility in this. We need to take responsibility for ourselves as students to do our very best, but also responsibility as teachers to be as open and balanced as possible. So now we have a short moment before we break for lunch, and just to make sure I'm on target here. This question is an open question about how could a fairer balance of power be guaranteed in application of artistic standards? Yes. How could a fairer balance of power in the application of artistic standards? So this can be relative to opera, to orchestra, to auditions, to bands, to ensembles, to teacher certification. This is a very open-ended question. So, Jesus has got the mic. And please jump in. So that or I'm going to ask Colin. I'm sure you have. Because I heard in my group somebody said when she speaks sometimes in a jury where she's not the main instrument and somebody else is much more important, she sees that also it's because she's a woman. They don't really, she feels that she can't really say anything, and so she just sort of steps back and doesn't say anything. So how can we make the system fairer? I mean, right now this is just, yes. And Alexandra after that. Yeah.
The teachers also have to perform for the students on the same day.
Oh yeah, teachers. Teachers perform. Alexandra, do you want to say something?
No, I think it's again all about communication, and it can be changed in like 1 day or 1 year. It's a process, and it's also impossible to change if people don't want to change it. So first, people need to be inspired, maybe to start the changes from ourselves with very small steps. Yeah.
So what might be a step considered?
For me, it's difficult to define because everybody are on a different level of self-reflection and self-consciousness. And some people can, for example, realize that there is a problem and it should be changed. And for other people, it's totally okay to have a system working like this. And I don't know how to put it together. So,
okay. Well, we're going to hear from Ireland now. Oh, God, sorry. Nice. And then Anya.
I think what I've heard from Anya really needs to be implemented in all universities. This thing that teachers are, that they have to give you feedback, written, on paper, because I think that forces the jury to think about the language that they use to make their feedback more concise, because sometimes they might say, well, it just wasn't on the level that it was required. Then if they have to write about it, then they might actually say, well, what is this level? What was not okay or enough for it? And I think students need that type of very concrete, precise, clear feedback to be able to understand what are the standards, and then we might be able to prepare accordingly you know, for life or for next exam, whatever. But I think that's what I find very important is the clear communication of what is expected and what was delivered or what was not delivered.
Yeah.
And I think that was a great example that I.
And the criteria applying to that
Yeah.
feedback, the most important
Yeah.
that's all.
Oh, now you did want to ask?
Yeah, that what I just said is exactly. Say that the examiners, the criteria that they get, but that also the students who are taking the exams or doing the auditions know exactly what nuances in the music that they are looking for, because you might think, oh, I'm going to focus on phrasing and make it my own, but maybe they're more about being kind of like precise on the music and perfect technique. Like you don't know what they're looking for, and then you get feedback, then are you going to get the same examiner next time? Depending on the college, you don't know. So there's a set of criteria, and it's shared with
So
everyone.
clear criteria that's well communicated. We have comments from Zartab, just behind you. Can you probably pass it on?
So I think that the examiners need to be aware of the human aspect of every person that's approaching the examination or the test, and that they need to remember that they were once in that place when someone was grading them, and they need to remember how they felt and what were their thoughts, and just to reflect a bit on that point, to be aware what they're doing to that person on stage.
So can we keep discussing this and just look beyond the actual examination situation, but look at different auditions that might be professional auditions or teacher certification? Are there further comments in, this is Dublin, I think. Yeah.
I have some different thoughts about authorities in general. I believe that authorities, for example, rectors and directors...
Can you speak more slowly?
Yes, of course. Sorry. I think that authorities at the academies should have a group of people from different parts of academy, just like we are here. Someone from staff, someone from teachers, and so on. And the authorities should decide about important issues with this group of people, not only by themselves, because I know that a lot of institutions, authorities decide only by themselves, and I think that sometimes 2 or 3 people are in charge, and it's not well for managing the academy.
So representation, that we would have
Yes.
representation of students, staff, and teachers.
Yes, and they should listen.
And now we have Italy. No, Spain.
Vanessa, for some question, mainly to record the examen or audition, but to the feedback with all the examinators, to remember or to have the possibility for the student to listen another way or several ways what the judges are
offer different
saying.
pathways.
Yes, and maybe it's the occasion to have benevolence for the jury. And maybe it's the occasion for the jury to be to say things with much more benevolent, nicely.
Yes, Zagreb.
I wanted to say what Katarina said really resonated with me, and I think it would be a great idea to put into formal that it is obligatory for jury, for each member of the jury to write a short commentary on the student, not because some reasons that are in the gray area, but because the point of us going to a conservatory is to learn and to get better. And I think a lot of us have had experiences coming out of an exam room, and even later calling the teachers on the phone and asking, what's your commentary? And they said, I don't have anything to tell you, you know how it was, or something in the gray area. And there's a jury of 4 people sitting in front of you and not one commentary from each one of them. And I don't understand what is the purpose of conservatory if nobody from the teacher is going to tell me what they think about it, because we are here to learn from them, because they have more, they have experience, they are masters in their trade. Yeah, to put it into formal, that it is obligatory.
Two words about
Actually, in our university, when there is a discussion after the exam, all comments of teachers, they are notated. So there is a special book, maybe now it's electronic, I don't know really, but they are notated, they are stored for some time. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe for 10 years. But actually, I think students even don't know about this
secret book.
Yes, this secret book with or what other teachers think about this. Usually, at first the teacher of the student tells something, evaluates, and then other teachers, like 2, 3, give comments, and then it's a discussion for the grade. So maybe we need to make this. To give the students the opportunity to ask about these comments if they want to know and share it with them. I don't know if you have this in, are there discussions of exam notated in your universities? Do you know? Teachers? No discussion? You have no discussions after exam?
Maybe with your teacher.
Well, that is one of the most important things. Should the students know about our judgment and about our opinions? Because it's only in one side, to the students, not to they got a chance to read this. No, I don't want I don't think. This is sorry. So this is the most important, because we are from one side, we are. And the second side is also the young human person, and this is connection between these two persons. Should they know the students our opinions, so they should be open? This is a problem, because we are studying the academy in Krakow in the violin and viola department. But after I settled, nobody it goes and nobody knows what sorry.
I think we do have some schools here where this is the case, where students are asked to evaluate their own performance. Can you just raise your hand if that's the case in your institution? Raise your hand high. So it is the case. For example, I see people from Malmö and Graz and maybe Spain saying that it is the case that the students are asked to give their own self-assessment of how they performed or how. Who would like to? No, the student. Are there institutions where the student is asked to provide feedback on their own performance? No? Nobody? Yes?
Do you mean by course evaluation?
Well, whatever. I mean, I'm just asking for examples of when. So, Natya, do you want to share?
Who would like the mic?
Yeah, Natya. All right.
Well, yes. In Malmö, we use as many Swedish institutions, I think. We have the systems with the course evaluations, and it's we have to do it. The students have the right to evaluate the courses in the education that they study. So, and it's we struggle with some parts of it because it's hard to evaluate one-to-one situations, but mostly we get a lot of information for the courses to like adjust both studies and content of the courses and stuff. So the students help us.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from St. Louis or Mannheim now. We haven't heard much from you on this subject. And so yeah, but I'm just wanting to hear from the jazz and pop sector. Would somebody like to speak to that? Yes.
Yeah, so we evaluate our courses as well, we don't self-evaluate. And we have, at least at Conservatoires, we have a lot of lecturers coming in for just one day to teach. So we give them feedback, like how did they improve that one day, but they don't give us feedback because they don't know us.
And I'm asking, do you have feedback on your own performances? You don't under us. We want to hear something from St. Louis, please.
No, we don't evaluate ourselves, but we can feel some forms about how the year went at the end of the year, but I don't think it's that specific. And also, as we were discussing in the previous group, we don't have, and we're working on it as an institution, but we're going to have soon a safe space to talk about this without thinking of any repercussions on our course, on our path, our journey, as our careers as students and teachers also. But I think probably it should come as a common effort from the teachers and the students to improve each other's. I mean, we respect the decision, but as it was said, I think it is important for the student to know what to do precisely, what happened in the performance and in the accent that could be improved specifically, without going rambling on about it. I think we can all agree on that. I think that's a common point for everybody. I think also teachers should learn, of course, from their journey as teachers, as in finding new tools to be, to implement their skills. But as we were saying, actually, in my first group, I think the job of teachers sometimes can be very hard because they also have to create themselves a safe space for themselves and for the students to be comfortable with, and to create and instill confidence in a student that probably in some areas in the school and in their path don't feel as comfortable at. So I think there are many issues here, but I think we all agree on many things. I think.
Yes. Yeah, please. Oh, and Nanhan also has something to say. Carolina?
Yeah, I saw
Okay. There are two of you. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point about something that happened in Dublin, which I think helps with this question of fair and balance of power in the application of artistic standards, is that we have, certainly I'm talking about School of Strings, and you can correct me if it's not the same in local, but we have a weekly performance class which is led by one of the teachers in the faculty, but it's a completely open class where every student is encouraged to comment on a performance. So students sign up to perform, and then the class will collectively comment, which gives, I think, both teachers and students an idea of what standards we're all striving for, both as a teacher and a student. And I think this is one thing that certainly I take the junior first and second year performance class, and it's weekly. I think it's one thing that really helps with clearly defining the standard and also preparation for this scary end of year exam or final recital.
Great. So can we hear now from Van Heim?
So sorry, I just want to say something to MK, because MK studied the different main subjects. So when we talk about bachelor and master program in study and students, for example, you have the chance to get feedback from each of your main subject teacher. That's because then we have band coaching, the band coaches give the bands feedback. We have performance coaching where you discuss your band, your style, everything what you want to do on stage. And the leaders of the master and bachelor program are there for feedback. You can talk to them, you can go to them, you can say something about teachers, and you go, in my opinion, I talk to the teacher then. Or we have special times every semester where you can go for feedback. You give the feedback to teachers, for example, to the main subject, and for other different seminars you get. So you have the chance to give feedback and get feedback. This is it. But we want to change for the next semester that you get feedback, for example, if you have an ensemble examination, because it takes a lot of time, and in my opinion, you have the problem, it costs a lot of money. This is what students want to say now, because in our university, the teachers get paid for everything they do, and it's very expensive when you have, for example, in 1 week, 60 bands on stage. And then you have then you give the feedback for every band, and we discuss how we can pay that. We want to do that, but we have no chance to pay it.
Yeah, so this is
I just want to say this as a kind of tricky discussion point, but it is a point for us, how we can handle this to pay all the student teachers, because we want to give feedback, but who pays that? This is a big point.
So we're coming up to the end of our hour. I just want to ask if there's somebody who has something burning they want to share before we go to lunch. But you can pursue this conversation. I think that we see that we have different situations that exist, and we have a desire to come to some kind of more open system where there's a mutual feedback. It's offered in a constructive and regular way, but sometimes there's also a process that has to be engaged upon, and also a desire to make this a part of your process. So this afternoon we're going to come back and we're going to hear from Alexandra about utopia. You know, where are we going? Where would you like to see this take us? And then later today we are going to work on our recommendations, coming back to this question of artistic thinkers. So you've done a great job this morning. Bravo. And please feel free to write a little Valentine to somebody and slip it in their envelope, and have a great lunch. See you back at 2:30.